as we want for a cell phone, tower permit. Not that people are asking a lot at the moment, but they're going to be, because 5G doesn't go as far as 4G does. So you're going to get more of those requests than you've gotten in the past. So there's some other cases where we've got some things that are commercial rather than residential, and I'm wondering whether that might be an opportunity, along with the idea that a bigger project like an addition maybe justifies a bigger fee. Maybe some of these commercial projects justify bigger fees. Is one of my thoughts. And I also was wondering how some of these might interlock. If we were to say, for example, this is the fee for a pool, right? There's a permit for a pool. This is the fee for the pool. Is it likely that that pool is going to end up implying a stormwater permit? So that's going to roll into another, if someone's looking at it and thinking, well, maybe it should be more for a pool. Well, maybe not, because by the time you pay for the pool permit and the stormwater permit and the electrical and plumbing permits that you're probably going to need for that, it's significant, right?
I think to your point, the permit fee should cover our expenses, bare minimum. So somebody could look at it and say, hey, do an inspection, let's do this and do that, times whatever we're paying the person. If it's $200, then the minimum permit fee should be $200. It shouldn't be $100. So if we could look at that, I think that makes total sense. That bare minimum, it should cover our costs. So, and the other thing with the addition, to me, an addition is similar to building a house, and you should have inspections as it's being built, not necessarily after it's done. So that should be taken into consideration.
These are just deposits, too. $500 deposit for a plan review is not a fee for the permit.
Right.
It's just a deposit.
The village code has a provision already that it's 140% of the overall outside cost for the village. That is what is the final payment for the permit.
Yeah, and Nick was very clear about that when we had the discussion. Stays in our code.
Okay, well, let's line this up. I know Seth's been patient. We'll hear what you have to say.
I enjoy it. I'm having a good time.
Well, I guess our next step, Seth, would be at our next meeting. I think Nick is wanting to put forward what he's presented to you, and if folks can think about that a little bit more and decide at the next meeting, and then I will communicate what you've decided, and then Seth will develop the amendments that we would need then to adopt the 2023 international, or is it 2024?
24 international
24.
code. Yeah, the 23 is the national electrical code.
Okay, got it.
Okay, any comments, Seth?
I'll do that.
I'm trying.
Barbara, you're so kind. I appreciate it.
Well, still,
No,
saying everything, and you're here for a reason, so go ahead.
Yeah, I think, you guys just have to decide what things you want to have permits or not. I'm pretty sure you understand where I'm at on everything, for what it's worth. I don't know what kind of homework and research you can do yourselves. I know Nick has, done some of that and presented that to you, but, like anything, these decisions are going to impact the whole community. So the decision you make one way or another is going to impact the community. And so my advice, if I may be so blunt to give it, is just do your research, figure out, what's right for Campton Hills and the citizens within. So that's my piece, if you will.
Okay, well, thank you. Any more questions for Seth? Comments? Okay, thank you so much.
Okay, you're welcome. Thank you.
All right. Frank?
Fine.
I'm sorry.
I was just asking Nick a question.
Okay. You know what? We'll skip over to ordinance, e-bikes and e-scooters, because Rudy has to step back in for the Fox Mill discussion, so go ahead, Chief.
Just briefly, I wanted to bring this up to the board because we've been working on an ordinance and Attorney Forte's been helping me. I've been speaking to a lot of chiefs. We've sort of briefly discussed this before. Some subdivisions don't have a bigger problem as others do. The e-bikes are more directed right now. Fox Mill, this area here, is extremely dangerous. It's extremely reckless. We have even a hard time catching them because you're now talking about kids on bikes that are doing 30, 35 miles an hour. So we need to put an ordinance in place. I don't know if anyone watched the news a few days ago with Elk Grove Village on there that had the 20, 30 teenagers on e-bikes that took over Elk Grove Village down main streets. We want to keep leniency, obviously, but we also have to address this. And yes, we can go with what the standard state law says. We don't want to get crazy because there's issues with that right now. They're going to make corrections. Right now, how the state law is written, and I'm not exaggerating on portions of this, is a little child's top scooter. In theory, is illegal if you look at exactly how the state law is written. So I'm going to bring an ordinance forward that I want it to be fair. We're not looking to target anyone on this, but we have to address the safety issues with a few bad apples out there. We have people running over animals, hitting people on walking paths. So the reason I brought this up is I want the board, if there's opinions, thoughts, to give it to me now, as before we put all this work into it, and then I bring it forward, and then the board looks at it and says, well, no, you should have had this in there, or I would have preferred to see this. So that's the only reason I'm bringing it up, is if there's any insight, thoughts that someone wants to see in it, doesn't want to see in it, so we can get it put together. Because this is weekly, I have 2 of them from this week right here, that weekly I am getting emails from residents furious, business owners furious, videos attached to them. I mean, it's pretty bad right now. So if anything, just give it to me, please. Attorney Forte's been helping on this, so we can get this put together.
Was that in Elk Grove? Because they actually passed an ordinance, so was that in protest of their ordinance?
That's what they're guessing, and they have a pretty good ordinance on it. Actually, it was forwarded to me by the chief, and they don't know if this is a rebellion type of deal that's going on. I mean, we're talking a group that's Devon Road, blowing red lights, causing car crashes. Okay, are we going to have that here? No, I don't think it's going to be that extreme, but it does start somewhere. And again, we're putting together a thing right now for education on it, to go on the website, to try to get it out there on social media. Parents play a huge part in this. Like, if they're going to go buy their kids, these machines that are doing 30 miles an hour and say, go have fun, do it. Like, it's got to go back to the parents too, but we still need something for the officers to be able to address the issue.
Yeah, I can tell you in Fox Mill, the path behind my house, it's like a racetrack. I mean, you definitely have to consider the higher powered ones.
Absolutely.
Because it was like a train. There was like 7 or 8 kids going by, and the faster ones went flying by, and the ones that are a little bit slower were just kind of trailing behind. But there's people walking on that path all the time, and these kids, no regard whatsoever, they're just flying. So.
It's bad. I mean, a couple times a week I'll watch. We haven't been able to catch them yet because they don't stop for us. But they come through the driveway here on 2 of them, literally 20, 25 miles an hour below that stop sign every single time. And I know it's going to happen eventually. The car is going to catch one of them. It's not going to be the car's fault. But it's a serious problem. And me and Trustee Volkner actually we discussed this previously. We have other subdivisions where this is not as big of an issue, depending where it's at, like how rural of a subdivision, like how well people know each other, neighbors, how big, small, all that plays into it. So we don't want to put an all-encompassing thing out there, but we do need to address the issue that's currently going on.
Yeah, I would tell you said the parents. I mean, my thoughts on the golf carts going on, and they're crossing the busy roads in golf carts now.
Yeah.
So I don't know that you can totally rely on the parents. No offense.
No, you're 100% correct. I don't think you can. This ties into sort of the whole golf cart thing. What originally was, Yes, and so what we've always gone with, and this is another hot topic, is the golf carts. We originally had 2, 3, lived in the Fox Mill area. They are legal, like we would follow state statute on it. They have registered lights, driver's license, seatbelts. No one had an issue with it. Like, they would take their kids to school, they follow the traffic laws, and that's great. But now we have, 3 or 4 additional ones that aren't legal, that I have videos of kids, almost falling off the back as a parent punches it across the Fox Road. So golf carts is on the agenda to try to address too. Currently, we're going off state statute on it, which is good. It still gives us something to enforce. I don't even, golf carts a whole other thing on it. Like, I would go with that. It's more, right now, I just got to get the e-bikes, and we have a couple residents with golf carts that aren't legal that I'm going to make a visit to and discuss it with them. So yeah, it's just the e-bikes is just really bad right now.
So, Chief mentioned that we provided some information to him. There are a few categories of these types of vehicles or devices. They're electric bicycles. They're called low-speed electric bicycles. There are electric scooters, and then there are personal assistive mobility devices, so electric wheelchairs and the sort. This is probably the hottest topic amongst all the communities we represent right now, and THC beverages, another one. We've drafted many ordinances with regulations from very strict to a little bit more allowing. We've prepared ordinances that include parental responsibility provisions as well, even for some of our non-home rule community, which I wouldn't say it's a novel idea because there are other practices or prohibitions that municipalities have that include parental responsibility, like social hosting, underage drinking, things like that. So whatever the board is comfortable with as far as the level of regulation, the state regulations are pretty good to begin with. So we definitely review them, and we can put together whatever ordinance we are comfortable with.
Okay, go ahead.
You asked for some feedback tonight, guys. Okay, good. So part of growing up, part of the reason I moved out here was memories of visiting my friends out here. We would be on dirt bikes and four-wheelers riding around. And when I moved out here, one of the things that put a huge smile on my face was when I saw kids riding by on a little four-wheeler. I'm like, all right, these kids, they're not on their devices, they're not sitting inside, they're getting out, they're using Campton Hills for what I believe it is, getting outside, exploring the open spaces. It's a rural environment. So everything that you said tonight, Chief, you can't argue with that. That stuff has to be taken care of. But I would just ask that whatever you do come up with, that it balances so that the kids can still be kids and can still get out there and ride these things around and explore. But if they are crossing whatever this line is, that then it gets addressed because we have to take safety into account. But I just want to make sure that all these kids growing up out here, that they can still hop on their toys and go and play in Campton Hills. That's kind of my dream, and if that works, that would be my dream.
Go ahead, Mike.
To your point, I think what the sidebar or the discussion we just went around with, the thing that most caught my ear was parental responsibility on some of that, because to your point, your parents, if they found out you were doing stuff like this, would kick your butt at that point, and that's not quite a thing anymore, for good reasons and bad reasons. So I would be very interested in what the non-home rule folks are doing on that sort of thing, because 2 or 3 times you just, not necessarily do anything other than go have a discussion with the parents over their child's behavior. Sometimes that's all it takes.
Okay. One more comment on that. I'll give you an example. A couple of years ago, a kid on a 4x4 was riding right through the back of my house and fell, broke his arm. We had a hard time finding his mom, found his mom on called the dad while my wife was standing there. And the dad was upset that the kid wasn't gonna be able to pitch that night. Not because the kid broke his arm, but because he wasn't gonna be able to pitch that night. So that gives you a little perspective.
Okay.
And here, just when I ask for this, we'll come up with ordinance, just keep faith, like in the police department. Like, even though we have an ordinance, it's there to assist us if needed in extreme cases. We get calls every week, be it ATVs, dirt bikes, golf carts. We use our discretion. We know what this community is. We understand why people move here. We know some of the freedoms to it. Like, if people don't have issues, we don't have issues if people are doing it safely. When there's complaints, be it four-wheelers, whatever, we have to deal with it because state law says you can and can't do certain things. That's including driving on a roadway. But when there isn't complaints, we want kids to have fun. We understand there's not a lot of things going on in Camden Hills for the kids, but we need something as a police department to be able to sink our teeth in if we need to do it. So just say that when the ordinances come, I have a lot of ordinances for a lot of things, but we don't use those ordinances unless we have to. So the purpose isn't to punish the kids or take away their fun, but sometimes we need that ordinance to be able to do our job.
All right.
Just generally speaking, the parental responsibility provisions are typically say that it's unlawful for a parent or guardian to allow a minor to, and then you insert the language, typically to violate any provision of this section of the code that would include these restrictions. So that would leave them open to administrative communication. There's actually legislation right now that I believe is on the governor's desk that it would allow an administrative hearing officer to take further action than just issuing the fine. So that may be included in further amendments to the state provision in this subject.
Okay, Janet, you had a comment?
I was just curious, and since our engineer has been listening patiently to this conversation for such a long time, whether he might be able to weigh in also. It occurs to me that there is probably significant pressure from the state and other places to allow e-bikes and various electric vehicles as an energy saving measure, right? We don't have bike lanes or anything like that here. Is there money available? Is there grant money? Is there any possibility that if we were to come up with a program that said, yes, you can use some of these vehicles in the way that the state is trying to promote in designated places, can we get assistance with that?
There is, I realize my phone's broken. There is grant money available. It comes with a lot of hoops, a lot of obligations.
He needs to get on the mic.
Sit down where the chief was, to do it quick. Just sit in his chair. Make sure you're not in it.
Sorry, Chief. I need to stand.
In his chair, not his lap.
We're good. There is funding available for bike paths. It comes with a lot of obligations, a lot of hoops, a lot of time. It's not going to solve this issue. Okay, this is a enforcement issue, and you can make probably not the most politically correct statement here. You can do all the paths, et cetera, that you want, that you cannot design around stupidity. And frankly, if somebody's going to ride an e-bike across the public roadway at 30 miles an hour without looking, there's nothing you can do. That is, while it's an idea and it's something that the village can look for, bike paths and such, that will not solve this issue that's currently being discussed.
Operator error.
Correct.
And with regard to bike lanes, some communities have, there are classes of electric bicycles, for instance, 1, 2, and 3. 3 are the fastest, high powered. Some communities that have bike lanes are restricting some of the, let's say, middle level bikes to bike lanes, where other bikes would be used. Some community, Schaumburg, for instance, is saying that class 3, which is the fastest, are only allowed because they can travel so fast. A lot of communities are restricting any of these devices from being used on sidewalks at all, no matter what class they are. So there are many options. It really has to be tailored to a specific community. So it's hard to give a catch-all, one fit all.
I know the electric bikes are allowed on the Great Western Trail.
That was the conversation just now, they're actually reducing it now. The speed limit on the Great Western Trail
On the Great
is
Western.
15 miles an hour. These bikes do 30, 35 miles an hour.
Yeah.
So they're adding new signage now to, like what cars get on the road, where they'll enforce it for speeding on an e-bike on the trail, so.
Yeah. All right. All right, let's move on, and thank you, Chief. Thank you, Scott. The SSA for Fox Mill, I'm going to defer that. I don't know, Frank, that's your thing. We're going to defer the SSA for Fox Mill because it's not ready yet. So I just want to make sure you hear that. And then we're going to move back up to actually 7 up, because I moved it down. We won't be voting tonight, but we'll have the presentation of the comp plan.
Thank you, Kim.
Hey, Jane, why don't you get started?
Sure. All right, so I have a presentation, 27 slides. Before I start, I'd just like to mention something. I got 2 phone calls this evening, right before the start of the meeting. One from a trustee, another from a concerned resident. And the issue for both of them was they could not see portions of the plan on their computer. There were maps missing, portions of pages missing. So what is happening, or what was happening, is the file size is so huge that sometimes it doesn't display properly. So if you wait long enough to try and refresh or scroll up or down, that's what's going on. And I myself, when I'm doing this, often go into a state of panic because I see a blank page or a map missing, and I know I put it there, and that's what's going on. A couple solutions is when I export from the software, it's an Adobe software, it's an Adobe PDF, I believe there are ways that I can reduce the file size, so I'll try to do that. And secondly, we could also put it on the village website by chapter instead of one big document. So if you want to try that, we can do it because potentially there are some other residents who try to look at this and have the same issue. So, all right, so with the slide. Okay, so the village's first comprehensive plan was adopted in 2007. It was all of 8 pages long, but the 8 pages were packed with a lot of good policy information and statements, and that lasted up until, well, there was an amendment done in 2011, and then the second plan, the one that's still our comprehensive plan, was adopted in August of 2012. The date on the cover says July, but the ordinance actually was approved in August. And this has served us since then. This was done with the assistance of CMAP, and Teske Associates was involved too. There were other consultants. I don't think I need to go into that history. But now we come to what you could call our third comprehensive plan or an update of the 2012 plan. Right? And these were the Planning and Zoning Commission's goals or intents. We wanted to rely heavily on public input in the 2012 plan. We felt that was still valid. We did not have a big public outreach effort. We wanted to maintain the basic structure or organization of the plan. We wanted to maintain the policies, goals, and strategies. I'm going to talk about that quite a bit coming up. Wanted to strengthen some language on annexation and open space, partly in reaction to some events last fall with an adjacent community. And then obviously we were going to update the data, the maps, and the photographs. And then as we got into it, we thought it would be worthwhile to rewrite and reorganize some things even within a section or within a chapter. My two buzzwords are always clarity and brevity. So that was the overall goal. I'm going to walk through quickly just the organization. You can see, if you read that on the left, is the 2012 plan, and there are 4 chapters. And then the 2025 plan, draft plan right now, also 4 chapters. The first couple chapters, essentially the same. You'll see chapter 3, slight change in titles. 2012 was called Principles, Policies, and Strategies. It's now Vision, Goals, and Strategies. And then chapter 4 in 2012 was really more of an appendix, I thought. It covered funding and other resources. And chapter 4 is now called Land Uses, and that was pulled out of a very, very lengthy and bulky chapter 3 in the 2012 plan. So we took a huge section of that and just made it its own section. Again, I'm going to go into detail on more of this. So I'll walk through each of the chapters and just try and hit a few highlights here. You can see this was the sectional organization within that chapter. It started off with, why does Camden Hills need a comprehensive plan? And then it goes out down to, what is a comprehensive plan? So we thought that order should be reversed. The first basic question